Welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae, and I am Shanrae. And tonight is our last and final night for this quarter, the second quarter in 2023. And I'm on part two of what we've been talking about: manipulation, or just misunderstanding. All right, so we're going to dive on in because we have I think I can squeeze it in within 30 minutes. I'm hoping we can, but it's so good to see you all. I am Shanrae once again. This is Counsel Today with Shanrae. All right, so let's start with our website disclaimer. All right. It says, please be aware that due to the nature of the technology that I am using, that there can be no assurance of confidentiality when using this online service. It should be also noted that due to changes in policies that all replies are to be used as advisory and informational only and will not constitute an official determination. Information provided by myself are subject to limitations of current and available material, but the final responsibility for successfully achieving the goal rests with you, the client, or the individual. All right, information online is designed to be helpful. However, this information does change frequently. And it changes frequently, and it is recommended that clients consult another physician, another specialist, and or religious leader to aid you in your overall behavioral wellness. This month, we have been talking about desperation versus lifestyle. And each week, I've been having a subtopic up under it. The subtopic for tonight is manipulation, or is it uninformed? All right, let me move on to my bio. I am a degree counselor. I acquired my degrees from Ashford University. My main degree is in psychology, and then my other degree is in organizational management. My great passion is bringing healing to people who have been through a traumatic, stressful experience. And when we as humans, when we experience trauma or severe life stressors, it is not uncommon for us to feel like that our lives are unraveling. So I help clients such as children, adults, and families, and I help them to find healthy perceptions of themselves and help them strengthen their relationships so they can know themselves as peaceful, as complete, whole, and safe. All right, so let's move this on. I'm a Christian counselor. And so my scripture for the entire month has come from, I'm going to open this and then I'm going to close it right back. I'm going to minimize it back. It comes from Luke chapter 12, verse 48. It says, to whom much is given, much is required. All right, so let's move on to our subtopic for tonight. And I'm going to open this up. These are the key points that I'm going to be talking about this evening. So the first key point is, oh, wow. And mine didn't even come out on my page, so I have to read it off of here. I'm going to open it back up. I don't know what's going on with my printer, but it says acting innocent and playing dumb as manipulation tactics. That's number one. And the second one is tactics and techniques of the manipulator. Third one is how to protect yourself and put them on the spotlight. And the next one is 6 ways to disarm a manipulator. Then I'm going to always end with a takeaway and a quote. So let's dive right on in, because this 30 minutes is going to go by very, very quickly. Okay, so let's talk about acting innocent and playing dumb as a manipulation tool or a tactic. So this study here is by Dr. George Simon. Dr. George Simon. And every theory that I speak on talk about, it's longitudinal or long-term theory. So it's been researched and studied for 10 years or more. All right. So this study is by Dr. George Simon. And he says that feigning ignorance is an effective tactic. It's an effective tactic that manipulates the person confronting the behavior into having doubts about legitimacy of the issues that they're trying to bring to the other person's attention. All right. So again, feigning ignorance, acting like you don't know, acting like it's I don't know what you're talking about. That is a strong tactic for someone who's a manipulator. A lot of times, most manipulators are people who are addicts. A lot of times they're addicts, or it's just been something that they have just learned and been around their entire lives, and they have just incorporated it and they use it for themselves because they realize it's a way to get what they want from people. All right. So Dr. George says that this article here is the seventh in a series of articles talking about habitual behaviors that are common to individuals who have disturbed characteristics. All right, so these behaviors interfere with the internalizations of pro-social values, or people who are pro-social value. Okay, and standards of conduct, as well as serving as effective tactics of manipulation, control, and impression management. So some of the behaviors that Dr. George, he said he's explored, including shaming and guilt tripping, minimization, and evasion and diversion. Okay, and a lot of these things, they come right along with how manipulators work. All right, so let's keep on moving. Dr. George says that also, he says, so when disordered characters are confronted about problematic behaviors, so these people, these manipulators, when they're confronted about their problematic behavior, they're apt to employ a select group of tactics that they use to avoid being responsible for the things that they've done, and how they manipulated others. So these are two of the most common tactics that Dr. George says. Number one is feigning or faking ignorance, i.e., playing dumb, and feigning or faking innocence. So you're going to fake your ignorance, or you're going to fake innocence. You're going to act like you're innocent, fake like you're innocent, like you didn't know what you're doing, or you're going to fake again, ignorance, like you still didn't know. So many times when your gut is telling you that you're being taken advantage of, you're being played for a fool, or you're simply being mistreated, and then when you want to confront that disordered character, that person, about what they're doing, that person is going to they're going to act like they have no idea what you're talking about. That's a part of the tactics that they use. All right. They're going to pretend to be totally unaware and in the dark about what they've done. That's another tactic that manipulators use. And sometimes when you've received information from a reliable source, okay, about something that you suspected that they've been doing, then they'll pretend that they have no earthly idea where anyone could have come up with such an idea about that with them. Okay, and we've seen a lot of this at times on television, on comedy shows, when somebody is doing something, and then when they get busted, or when they're confronted, then it more me, or why would you assume that I would do something like that? There was a movie that I loved. It's very comical, with Ashton Kutcher, and it was with Cameron Diaz, and they went and got married. They got married in Las Vegas. They met in Las Vegas. They both went to Las Vegas to get away. He went there because he got fired from his job, so he wanted to blow up some steam. She went to Las Vegas because her fiance, she thought that she was going to get engaged, and she went to surprise him, and at a surprise birthday party, and he didn't know the people was there, and he broke up with her and told her he wanted to move out of his place. So she just needed to get away because she was hurt. Wound up getting drunk, met up with this Ashton Kutcher. They wound up getting married in Vegas. They were so drunk. And then when they woke up and realized they was married, then they was trying to figure out a way how they could tell each other that they wanted to get out of it, because they was drunk when they got married. And so she wound up, giving him a dollar, a quarter, or something like that to play in the slot machine. And so he put it in there and won. So that changed the whole dynamic of everything, because he won over so many millions of dollars. So he was trying to get up out of it. But when they went to court, he was trying to say that it was his money because he played. She said she deserved half because she gave him a coin, and it was witnesses that showed it. So they had to live together, but they was trying to find ways to set each other up to get up out of the marriage. So they were in marriage. The judge wound up telling them they had to go to marriage counseling, which Queen Latifah was their marriage counselor. That was funny right there. So they were trying to sabotage each other, because one of the rules is if someone don't show up to marriage counseling, you automatically you can get your divorce, but you're not gonna get the money. So Ashton Kutcher tried to act like in counseling that he was an abused husband, that she beat him up. She wound up beating him up. So he was with his friends, got with his friends, had his friends beat him up, have physical appearance. He had black eyes and everything. So when he was trying to fake it and try to act like he was the victim in marriage counseling, while he was telling the story, Cameron Diaz pulled out her phone and showed everything. She had proof of what was going on, how he got beat up. She filmed the whole thing. And so he had to, and the marriage counsel just sat there and looked at him and just shook her head and wrote everything down about his horrible characteristics. Now, I said all that to say this, like it says right here, when evidence, it says sometimes when you have received information from a reliable source about something that you suspected was going on, and then that person that you're telling them, listen, this is a known fact here that you do stuff, how they'll pretend that they have no earthly idea where that came from. You should have seen Ashton Kutcher trying to play it off after the proof was shown. This is one thing, because if she would have believed him, he would have got all of the money and got the divorce, and that was it, and got out of the whole situation. So that was a con right there. Let's move on. Dr. George says that feigning or faking ignorance is an effective tactic that manipulates the person confronting the behavior into having doubts about the legitimacy of the issue that they're trying to bring to the other person's attention. All right. It invites them to see themselves as a false accuser and a victimizer, instead of being the victim of the disordered character's malicious behavior. Okay, so now we're going to get into how you cannot be a victim, fall victim to people who are like this, who are manipulators. All right. So Dr. George Simon says sometimes you have to try online counseling or get personally matched to maybe help you if you're the type of person that has such a heart, a soft enough heart, that you continue to fall prey. Hey, Helen, how you doing? It's good to see you, Helen. We talking about manipulation and how people with soft hearts, such as ourselves, a lot of times how people prey on us, especially us Christians, to try to get what they want, manipulate us and get what they want. And again, this goes back to people with these desperate lifestyles and everything. So Dr. George says that the techniques that these manipulators use of feigning or faking ignorance often goes hand in hand with the tactics of feigning and faking innocence. So when disordered characters use this technique, they will either simply act like or loudly protest that, number one, A, they have done nothing wrong and have and nothing to feel guilty about or shamed about. And I believe all of us have encountered something like that in our lifetime. Let me move this on so y'all can see this really quick. Okay, so we went A and B. There we go. So A, all right, they will sit there and protest and act like that they've done nothing wrong and they have nothing to feel guilty about. Once they're busted, once they're being once they're busted, and they realize that you know what they're doing. Okay. And B, Dr. George said, if there's no way that they can deny doing something you can prove that they did, then this is a lot of times, because if people are even bold enough to say you can't prove that I'm doing it. Well, thank God for cell phones and for videos and stuff like that. Oh yeah, we can prove a lot of times people and the acts, what they do, you know, people manipulators and people who are with behavior disorders. Thank God that we're in the age of social media, cell phone, video cams, and all of that. Yes, it can be proven over and over again how people are, their hearts and stuff like that. And B, they might claim that they had no malicious intent and that any harm that came of what they did was unintended. Okay, well, and they're hoping that you believe that too. All right. Now, again, tonight we're talking about how to combat being a victim to these lifestyle or lifelong desperate, malicious, manipulative type of individuals, because there are more of them out there than what we really want to believe. All right. So Dr. George says this tactic serves the purpose of obscuring the true characters of their actions. So faking ignorance and innocence are effective ways to deny malevolent intentions. They're effective tactics, especially when used on neurotic individuals, for several reasons. Now, I'm going to break down a neurotic individual. What Dr. George means by a neurotic individual, he's saying that a neurotic individual is someone who is a person who wants to believe that everyone is good and decent, someone who does not want to hurt anybody in any kind of a way. In other words, let's compare it to a Christian believer. Most Christian believers are optimistic. A lot of times we want to see the glass half full rather than half empty. No matter how bad a person is, because of our Christian beliefs, we want to believe that there is some good in everybody, which I still believe that there is some good in everybody. But it's just up to them to want to portray that. Okay. But so this is what he's characterizing, what he's saying, a neurotic type of person. All right. So the definition for malevolent, is having or showing a wish to do evil to others. Again, we as Christian believers or people who are optimistic, we don't want to believe that. We just don't want to believe that people are like that, are malevolent. We don't want to believe it, but there really are a lot of people out there that's like that. So this tonight is teaching, is helping us, giving us strategies how to avert from what, just start realizing when people show you who they are, we've got to believe them. We as Christians, we're going to pray for them, but we ain't got to fall prey to them. You know what I'm saying? So we can PRAY for them, but we ain't got to be their PREY. Okay. All right. So let's move this on. So the tactics of manipulative people serve the purpose of obscuring the true characters of their actions. Okay, they're faking ignorance, they're faking innocence, and these are effective ways to deny their mischievous intentions. They're effective tactics, especially when used on, again, people that is considered neurotic or whatever like that. First of all, when the victimizer, when denies their malintended intentions and appears innocent, the person who's confronting them and their problem behavior, that they know that person, they're watching to see if that person is starting to feel uncomfortable in the role of telling them about their accusations, or begin to telling them about what they perceive, what they've seen the person doing, and who occupies the victimizer and the victim position. So if that disturbed character person can make you feel bad, which is a tactic and a tool, if they can make you feel bad for indicting them or calling them out for what they're doing, then they are halfway home to successfully conning and manipulating you. See, a lot of times manipulators, con artists and stuff like that, they study their prey. And they figure if they watch you, they watch and see your heart. They watch, and if they feel like, okay, if I can get them to feel guilty or something, then I got them. Okay. Secondly, neurotics are prone, and I don't like the word neurotics, but that is a theological terminology. I'm going to say soft-hearted people. Okay, optimistic people. Optimistics are prone to judging intentions as opposed to actions. Okay, optimistic people want to think of most people as being good and kind, and they hate to think that people really do harbor ill intentions. So what's more, optimistic people, they hate to think of themselves as ever acting unfairly or in any manner that brings harm to other people. That's how most optimistic people think. And so when they're around people with character disorders, and have them thinking that they're when they're around people like that, and then when they kind of confront the behavior, these people with character disorders, they're thinking that they're readily they excuse me, I'm stuttering here, but the people with their bad intentions, they're hoping that they can get you to feel guilty so you can hurry up and back down when you're actually on point and you're confronting them about their ill behavior. So this is why Dr. George said in his book, In Sheep's Clothing, he has a book called In Sheep's Clothing, and Dr. George Simon is his name. He said that he advises optimistic people, or the theological term neurotic people, he advises them who want to empower themselves in their potential dealings when they're dealing with disturbed people, because I don't care where you go, you're going to always run across somebody who has just a flawed character. You know, a lot of times it comes from their foundation. So he helps those people who have more of an optimistic outlook, who have just a real kind heart. He helps them understand. He tells them, he says to judge people by their actions, not by their intentions, not what you feel like they can be. You have to, people like this with these bigger hearts, you have to judge people by their actions. Okay. All right. So Dr. George said in an earlier theological post that he did, he said he talked about never accepting the I don't knows, because he's saying that a lot of these people with this characteristic disorders, the first thing they like to say is I don't know. So for an answer, what he said, do not accept the I don't know for an answer when confronting someone with these disordered characters. He said, all right. He said that's because they're not only keenly aware of the things that they're doing or that they have done. He said that other people have a problem with, but they also know full well what their motivation was for doing those things. They also know that that optimistic people are very hesitant to believe that they're permanently, that they're that serious about, you know, harming somebody else to get what they want. He said they also know that optimistics are they're not only because they're optimistic, and that they know that optimistics find it uncomfortable to accept the notion that everyone is of a benign character, but also because traditional psychological schools of thought have never adequately identified and correctly defined character disturbances and the kinds of behaviors typically associated with these characteristics. All right. So Dr. George says that he advises people who are very optimistic. He advises them to that they might be in relationships, you know, with someone with a disturbed character, to be aware of their tactics that they use very frequently to evade being responsible, and how they manipulate other people. And if there's one thing that that Dr. George said that he's learned well over the years, is that whenever you know, people with these disturbed characteristics, whenever they're confronted, okay, on their inappropriate behavior, that they need to stay focused on the problem behaviors, no matter how clueless or innocent the manipulator is becoming, or is trying to be, or trying to act like. Okay, so let's move this on, and let me move this, because I'm talking and I'm reading and I'm not moving my own PowerPoints. Here we go. How to protect yourself and put them on the spotlight. Okay, how can you protect yourself as an optimistic person? How can you protect yourself? All right, so here's 6 strategies that can help you disarm and deflect the manipulator's attempt to control you or to get what they want from you. And these strategies reduce confrontation, and they help you to protect yourself. Everybody is not confrontational. Everyone is not good at confronting somebody on you know, when someone has done something to you. There was a movie out years ago, you can still see it today, Adam Sandler, and it was where he was with Nicolas Cage, and anger management. It's called anger management. Well, Adam Sandler, he was a good-hearted person, very optimistic, but he seemed to draw people with these character disturbances. His boss was very narcissistic and a user. Adam Sandler never confronted people on the things that they did to him, how they set him up. As a matter of fact, I just saw something today, and I think I'm going to come back online. I might come back on tomorrow night, and I want to replay it on here, and I want to have a discussion about this. And I want to get you all's opinion on it, because this really, it's about 40 minutes long, but I want us to dissect it. I want to get your opinions on it. I may cut the video, but this is serious. It's a true scenario that happened. And the person that's dissecting it, I don't quite agree with what he's saying. Because everybody has feelings, and nobody has a right to be used. I don't care. No one has a right to be mistreated or used. So I think I'm going to come back on tomorrow night, and I want to discuss what I saw today, and see what the viewers, what you all think about it. All right, so let's go back to what Dr. George is saying: how to protect yourself and put the if you're ever in a situation with someone who's a manipulator, how to put them on the spotlight. Okay, so let me open this really quick, and then I'm going to minimize it. Here are 6 different points. It says, number 1, postpone your answer. Postpone your answer. Okay, because a lot of times, especially someone that's addicted, that have addictions and stuff, when they a lot of times when they want money or something from you, it's got to be right away. They need something, they need the answer right away. Oh my God, everything is detrimental. Oh, I'm in trouble, I need this done, I need it. You know what I'm saying? So number 1, Dr. George says, postpone your answer. Don't give them an answer on the spot. Give yourself time to ponder, even if they pressure you. For example, he said that he'll think about it and get back. Say, this is one thing you can say: I'll think about it and I'll get back to you later. Remember, the tight timelines are their problem, not yours. Because somebody who's desperate and someone who's a manipulator, everything is right now, right away, right away, right away. So he said this is something you should say: I'll think about it and get back to you later. Because again, that tight timeline is not your problem, it is theirs. So a professional was pressured by a colleague. He's giving an example, Dr. George, to give him an exception letter for a personal need that he had. He called and emailed this professional several times that same day, saying that the letter was urgent and that it had to be done the same day, otherwise he would be negatively affected. So the professional needed to consult with other parties first before he gave him a letter, a letter that he needed. And he had other priorities that he had to take care of that day. So that professional calmly and firmly said to his colleague, he said that you have to wait 1 week. You got to wait 1 week if you want this letter from me. And that it's not my obligation. This is what that professional said. It is not my obligation to do this for you. At that point, the colleague stopped forcing his personal timeline on that professional, because it can't be that important if you waited to the day of to get this. If it's that important, why would you wait to that same day to ask somebody to do something for you? And because it had to get to about it. So, okay, that's something that you have to always think about. This is one way to protect yourself. Postpone your answer. Number 2, question the person's motivations. Question it. Dr. George says that manipulators often hide their real motivations because they don't like to take responsibility for their own actions and their own behaviors. Therefore, a great strategy is to force them to reveal their real motivations by asking them clarifying questions like, what do you mean by that? It's okay to ask, so what do you mean by that? Or you can ask, well, what is your objective with this? What is this really about? Okay. And their response will usually be to back off because they don't want the spotlight on them, to be on them. So if they try to put the spotlight back on you with blaming you or using other tactics, then repeat it again and repeat your questions again. Remember, question their motivations. Ask them again, what do you mean by that? Or what is your objective? What do you mean by this? Number three, the third thing you can do to protect yourself from a manipulator. All right, let me close this up again. Number 3 says is to show disinterest. Just, they talking to you, but you half listening. Manipulators are fueled by people's emotive reactions. They thrive and they motivate when they realize that they can control your emotions, because this is how they know they manipulate you to do what they want. So they lose interest in you. And when you look bored and you don't react and you don't express emotions like anger, fear, nervousness, impatience, hope, or excitement, and you keep a neutral demeanor, calm voice, and look uninterested in their game, then a lot of times they get the picture and they'll just try another source, right? So show them disinterest. Okay, just whatever. That works too. Number 4, impose boundaries. Especially if it's someone that you're related to or someone that you're in close relations to. Impose, it's important. You got to give boundaries. Have a fluid and firm no, without any verbal or nonverbal hesitation. You could smile calmly while you're saying no. Also, put you in power position relatively to that manipulator. Manipulators are known to not take no as an answer. So in this case, another useful technique is to use the broken record. You're gonna sound like a broken record of repeating your words. No, you're gonna keep saying no as many times as you need to. No, until you walk away. Nope. No, no, no. You don't need to change your no or dress it up differently every time. Be persistent, consistent, and calm and just say no. Now, this is how another way you can protect yourself from being manipulated by someone, a manipulator. All right, let me move this along because we got 2 more to go. And then, oh, wow. Okay, I'm running a little bit over, but we're almost finished. Okay, 5 and 6. Here we go. Number 5 says to keep your self-respect in the middle of all of this. Don't apologize when they start blaming you for your problems, because that's what people do. Con artists, manipulators, people who are constantly in a desperate life situation. There's always somebody they blaming you. Okay, understand that you're not responsible for other people's issues, and that they have need to take responsibility for their own problems. Mature people don't blame others for what's going on with them. Instead, they own up to their own problems. They seek advice and they ask for the willing support from other people. And I'm going to implement another thing. And they learn their lessons. Mature people learn and they grow. Okay, so they don't allow anyone to disrespect. What Dr. George is saying, don't allow anybody to disrespect you. You always have the option to simply walk away without any explanation at all. Because number 5 said this. Number 4 said to say no. All right, your actions will speak for itself. When you walk away, that's the answer right there. And number 6 says apply the fogging technique. Fogging techniques help cope with aggressive criticism from other people by cutting the conversation short, moving on without any agreements, or reducing the heat of the moment, which allows for a more reasonable conversation afterwards. So the goal of the fogging technique, is to calmly acknowledge to part of the criticism without making any commitments to change. A lot of times when people are desperate, or they're addicts, or they're manipulators, or they're con artists, a lot of times they like to turn stuff around and they want to talk about you. They want to criticize you. They want to blame you. They want to do this again. Their problem is not your problem. It's a difference between lending a helping hand to someone that really is, they need a helping hand, versus someone that is constantly it's just like, okay, all right, what? No. Okay. So the fogging technique is to calmly acknowledge to part of the criticism without making any commitments to changing what you're going to do. For example, if they say, well, you just said the other blah blah blah, you can calmly say, and I agree with that. Yes, you're right. Or you can say, yeah, you are right in that scenario. With that, you are very right in that. That's the fogging technique that'll help protect you from a manipulator and a con artist without making a big deal about it, and then exit the conversation. And I suggest strongly to walk away. So you don't have to accept Trojans or Trojan horses. Learn how to identify the threats, and this again is for the optimistic person. These are strategies. Tonight was about was the advice to optimistic or good-hearted people. Okay, how you can avoid being the person that's constantly getting okey doked. Okay, and so learn to identify the threats. Again. I know we're optimistic and we believe that there's good in everybody, but we have to look at their people's actions. when people show you who they are, we've got to believe them. You got to believe them, even if it's just for that time being. When they show you who they are, you got to believe them. Just like if they show you that they've changed for the better, then believe them. But it's got to be long-term change. It ain't just I just changed for this week and that's it, or I just changed it. It's not short-term. Because when somebody has had what they call character disorders or stuff like that, it's going to take a long time to prove that you're not like that anymore. Just as long as it took you to show that you were like that. Yes, change. You can change. But trusting, but getting people to trust you and trust that you have changed for real, that's a whole nother story. I want to share this with you. I was at a housewoman, it was a celebration. We was just celebrating a friend's house when she bought a new house, and it was beautiful. And she's a Christian, she's a pastor. And so she had some of her closest people that she loved to come and help bless her home. And so each of us had something to say. And so one person was there, and nice young man. He'd been saved, I guess, the last maybe 8 or 9 years. And he talked about how when he met the pastor, how God used the pastor to help show him that he can live a better life, a clean life, a pure life. And that helped him change the life. Because before that, he said he was an addict and he was a thief. He had served time in jail. He was a clever thief. He could steal stuff right up under your nose and you would never know it. So what this man said was, and he did this for years until he got saved. He said, now, even when he got saved, he said, he said those habits still are easy to come to him. But when he realized what he's doing, he turns it around. And he said that he was helping the pastor move from the one place over to the new home. And so he said the pastor had him help him move another church member. And he said the other person, it was a husband and wife, because he has a truck. So the husband they said, okay, he was taking the television out. And so the husband said, well, the moving truck is over there. It's over there. The moving truck is over there. Why are you putting the TV in your car? And so the man said, man, it's just old habits. He said, now it's going to get to your place. He said, but I still have to retrain my brain. He said, I was a thief for so long until it's just automatic. He said, I just automatically putting this TV in my car. He said, it may go in my car. He said, but it's going to get to your house. And he was talking about how he's changed. He is changed now, but those habits they were so embedded in him till they would still come up. But he would have to correct his own behavior. He would have to, because it was just automatic with him with the character disorders. It was just automatic. But when he realized what he was doing, then he would have to reshift and retrain what his thinking and do the right thing. And so when he said that, we laughed. He said, man, he said, whatever I take, it may get in my car, but I'm going to make sure it gets to your residence, to your house. He said, that's that old man. He said, it's just something. He said, I lived like that for years. He said, he said, God is still doing things in me. He said, I wasn't trying to steal you. He said, before I would have. He said, but he said, I ain't going to steal your TV, man. I'm not going to. And we just laughed. So that's what I've meant by this right here. Okay, everybody comes from a certain type of foundation. We don't, especially if a lot of us come from flawed foundations. We see a lot of stuff growing up. It don't mean we have to stay in. We don't have to keep repeating that each generation. Like the scripture said that I gave this month, to whom much is given, much is required. So when you know to do good, then do good. It may take some constant reframing and retraining of your brain, but you can do it. We can do it. I'm an optimistic person. I know everybody is an overcomer. I know things come in stages and steps, but you do not have to. If there is some negative things that you have to overcome, you can do it. We can do it. We don't have to remain with these flaws and these character disorders. We can be brand new. We can be something new. Now, don't get upset if people don't believe that you're better right away. Just like it, you were like that. You were using them negative traits for years. Guess what? You're going to have to keep showing your positive traits for years for people to trust you and to trust your behavior, because this is what we've been discussing all month long. Behavior. Your behavior. So again, just like it's easy for all of us to do the wrong thing. It's easy for all us to be natural liars. Okay, it's easy for people when you practice becoming a thief. It's easy to con people, especially I was talking with someone earlier about, and there's a saying that I do say, and there's a special place in hell for people who target and go after people with intellectual disabilities, people who have disabilities and stuff. And if you target these people to take advantage of them, yeah, I do say there's a special place in hell. Because why would you do that? Why would you target? Why would you hurt? Why would you go after someone who was born with intellectual disabilities, or someone who may be on a spectrum, or someone who has clinical issues? They're already dealing with clinical issues. And if there is, and then a lot of times when they deal with these different things, they are easily persuaded. They are easily manipulated. And so for people that target people like that, I say it all the time, there's a special place in hell for people, because that's evil. That's malevolent. That's what Dr. George is talking about right there. That is an evil-hearted person who targets someone who is having issues to where they can be easily taken advantage of. Okay, and so and there is help. There's help for everybody out there. Okay, there's help for everyone out there. And if that has ever been, so if that's been you, because people like to target good-hearted people. This is why I did this tonight. This is why I taught these 6 strategies tonight, how to protect your heart. If you're a good person, unfortunately, you're going to have to look at their behavior. Look at their actions, because actions speak louder than words every single time. That's an old school saying, but it's a true saying. Actions speak louder than words. Yeah, people can say stuff, but baby, your actions speak louder than words. And if someone's actions, if you see there's a history of certain actions, you better believe it. Like Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe it. We as optimistic people, as Christians, will pray for them. But we don't have to PR. We don't have to be their prey. We don't have to be their PREY for them. We can PRAY for them and keep it moving. Because you have to remember, us optimistic people, everybody is not our mission either. Yeah, everything is not for us to go after and help either. So again, these 6 strategies that I took, these were for people with a big heart, optimistic people. Now, the theoretical term for this, they call it narcissistic. He says he calls it narcotic. What did he call it? Because I don't even like the terminology. That's why I won't use it. Okay, but and with good-hearted people, optimistic people, we have to protect our heart. The best way to do it is watch people's actions. Look at their actions, and guess what? And believe it. Believe it. If it comes to you, they're a user, then guess what? Your inside is leading you right. Protect yourself, because we have to still make sure that we're lights for this world, that we're still good, not only for us and our families, but we can still show light in this world. All right, so let's move on to our takeaway. Our takeaway for this evening, I'm going to magnify it and then I'm going to minimize it. Our takeaway for tonight says, understand that you're not responsible for other people's issues, and they need to take responsibility for their own problems. Mature people do not blame other people for their issues. They own their own problems, they seek advice, and they ask for the willing support from other people. Now, that's a mature person. All right? Understand, we are not responsible for other people's issues, okay? And that they have to take responsibility for their own actions. All right, and the quote for tonight, I'm gonna magnify it and then I'm gonna minimize it. The quote for tonight says, just because something isn't a lie does not mean that it isn't deceptive. A liar knows that he is a liar, but one who speaks mere portions of truth in order to deceive is a craftsman of destruction. So there are people that take a little piece of the truth and then they add lies to it. That's a manipulator. That's a true manipulator. Someone that's going to take partial truth and then go after. That's a manipulator. All right. And this quote was by Chris Jami, and that's JMI. Chris Jami. All right. So let's move this along. All right. So if you want a safe space to speak with a licensed professional online, BetterHelp offers affordable counseling sessions for individuals, couples, and family members. BetterHelp, okay.com. And so you can do a Zoom session where you can look at each other, or you can just call them and it could be anonymous and you can speak to somebody. I don't believe you have to be in a long-term contract. They'll just do a 45-minute phone call session if you need to speak with somebody just to kind of air out or try to strategize some things that you may be wanting to talk through. It was $50 to $59 for a phone call, or for a Zoom session. It's 45 minutes to an hour. BetterHelp.com. All right. And this is for my fellow theorists. This is where I got my teachings from Dr. George on tonight. All right. So you can look that up if you want to see where I got this theory from. All right. So if there's a past Counsel of the Day with Shanrae series that you've missed or you just want to rewatch, you can go to my YouTube channel at Shanrae Price. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and then select any past series that you would like to watch. Okay. And I am a professional one-on-one counselor, and if you're interested in professional one-on-one counseling services, feel free to contact me via my Facebook Messenger at Shanrae Owens. Or you can do it old school and email me at shanrae.price@gmail.com. I'm a lifestyle strategist, and my aim is to aid you in your life's goals and your life's dreams. I also do 45 minutes to 1 hour. I do 30 minutes up to 1 hour. You can do a call. You can call me. We can do Zoom. We can do a Facebook Messenger, video messenger. And I don't do long-term contracts. I can do as needed. I do a lot of as needed calls. If you want to just strategize through something, and if you want to feel free to talk in a safe space to try to get through some things, I do sessions like that, 30 minutes to 60 minutes, no long-term contract, one-time fee like that. All right. So this has been Counsel of the Day with Shanrae, May 2023. I want to thank you all for participating this month. We talked about this month, and I look to see y'all in August, but this has been a great month. It has gone by quickly. I'm gonna go back to my normal days that I used to do before this year, before 2022. We're gonna go back to Tuesdays and Thursday evenings at 9 p.m. in August, and we're gonna continue from there. I had to shift it because of my work schedule, but now I'm not on that contract anymore, so I'm gonna go right back in August on Tuesday and Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. And that's what I will pick that up August 2023. Okay. Tuesday and Thursday nights. I'm going back to that in August 2023 for the month of August with a different topic and different subtopics each week. I have enjoyed you all for this month. I hope that I've been helpful with giving this counsel throughout the month. I look forward to seeing y'all August 2023, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all enjoy your summer. Bye.